Okay, if everyone can take a peek in the chat, which you guys are welcome to use, I have pinned our goal planner in there, which we're going to use today as we work through this interactive goal setting workshop. If you've had a chance to download and print it, that is ideal. If you haven't, that's okay. You could follow along on loose leaf. And really, our intent today is just to take the next like 45 minutes or so and use this as a jumping off point for setting your goals and your resolutions for the year, with really just like a focus on the next like quarter to 6 months and kind of breaking this down into manageable behavior change. So if you can, print it out, follow along, and we'll be working through that. And we're looking forward to it. Also, I do want to apologize. Originally, this was scheduled for a week ago, and unfortunately, I got hit with maybe norovirus, maybe a bacterial infection. I don't know what, but thank you to Meg for holding down the fort while I was having a rough start to the new year. And we appreciate you guys joining us for this rescheduled call. This will be recorded and on our YouTube channel as well. So we'll send out the link to everybody. If you need to take more time to do this, or if you have to hop up early, that's fine as well. All right. Meg, is that sharing? We're good?
It is, yeah.
Awesome. All right. So before we get into kind of the interactive piece of this and going into our goal planner, we just wanted to walk through some kind of surprising facts about goals and ways in which you can make them more successful. So roughly about 80% of Americans set goals during the course of a year. About a third to 40% of them set them for New Year's resolutions. Younger people are more likely to set New Year's resolutions than we do as we get older. But of all goals, roughly only about 8% of people achieve what they set out to do. And today we're kind of both help you set goals, but also focus on what that 8% of people does differently. And just look at how you can set yourself up for success in the coming year. So the first thing to do is that you're 42% more likely to achieve your goals when you write them down. So that's why it's really important that we're going to have you put pen to paper today, or keyboard if you're an electronic type person. I like to write, and really write down what your goals and intentions are. Also, people who review their goals quarterly tend to be about 31% more successful in terms of their progress or their returns. And that's just because you're able to kind of adjust on the fly. It's great to have year-long goals or 5-year goals or 10-year goals, but so many of our clients have, and us as well, have lives that are in flux, and you need to adjust as you go in terms of your habits and your benchmarks and just your approach. So doing a quarterly review is something we certainly advocate for. At least every, 3 months is ideal, every 6 months at least. When it comes to goals, the big meteor ones tend to lead to higher performance. And I'll caveat that by saying goal, there's a word for it, like proximal. Basically, your goal should be within challenging and exciting, but not unrealistic. Like if you cannot run a mile right now, saying you're going to run a marathon this year might be pretty ambitious, but saying you'll run a 10K could be exciting and a meaty goal and one that you could work towards without feeling discouraged. So setting something that feels challenging yet attainable, and then breaking it down into what we like to call snack size habits that you focus on daily, is really where you'll have the best overall success. Also, and we'll get into how to set effective goals, but ideally you want them to be time bound, and you want to be reporting in on your progress at least weekly, or if you're working with us daily, and sharing your goals with others. This doesn't mean necessarily shouting it from the rooftops, but having 1 or 2 people, whether that's a coach, whether that's a good friend, whether that's someone else who's working towards the same things with you. But having a support team that holds you accountable is really key to success. We are primarily have been a health coaching company, and we're aware of the fact that over 80% of people's goals are health related. Maybe not weight loss, maybe it's overall health and well-being. But all kinds of goals are important as a part of your overall wellness. So financial goals, personal development goals,
Good girl.
learning, and then certainly things within your family and relationships.
Good girl.
Oh, I think someone's
Oh,
not on mute. Um, All right, Meg, your turn.
Yes. Okay. So today we're going to walk through the three areas of focus, and that's fitness, finance, relationships, family, friends, career, whatever the case may be. We're going to help you hone in on three areas of your life that you really want to, make your area of focus in 2025. And then you're going to set a goal based on your ideal desired state. So Robin put the example here to have the garage, all closets, area purged and organized by June 2025. And you're going to make these goals, they're called SMART. So it's specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound. And we'll get more into that once we get into the goal setting workbook, which is going to be interactive. And then, as Robin said, also, you just want to think of daily snack size habits. It's these little habits that you do every single day that lead up to significant success. So don't try to tackle something huge every day. Just do small habits over time, and that will lead to the big results. So for example, you throw out 3 items a day, and then think of what that would lead to over the course of like 3 or 6 months. You could purge, all of your closets in that amount of time, but don't try to tackle that goal in 1 week. Okay.
Awesome. All right. Oh, sorry. All right. We are going to launch into the planning part of things. So if you look in the chat there, you can have a link to download the goal setting workbook. Like I said, if not, you can follow along on Loose Leaf. We are not going to walk through the whole thing. It's kind of divided into 3 parts. The third part being principles that you can use on a daily basis. And the first part really being kind of the pre-work to getting your goals going for the year. So we're going to walk you through a select number of those pages, but do not expect that in the next 45 minutes, you're going to walk out with all your goals perfectly planned. This is really just a jumping off point. All right. Let me go ahead and switch to sharing that. All right. All right, Meg, you want to take him through the wheel of life?
Yes, sure, absolutely. So there's 8 segments, 8 sections to this wheel. Obviously, there's more segments that you could consider in your own life, but for the purposes of this activity, we're going to focus on these 8. And you're just going to take a couple minutes now, and you're going to shade in. So color in each segment according to its area of importance for you this year. So if money and finance is very important, you'll shade it in as a 4. If fun and leisure, not so much, make it a 2. Those are just examples. And then you're going to put an X in the section based on your current level of satisfaction. So 0 is extremely dissatisfied, 5 is fully satisfied. And then at the end, we're going to try to find sort of that Venn diagram. And again, this is not a perfect science. This is just general. But the areas that you see that are very important, like a 5 in importance, but that you're much less satisfied, those might be areas that you want to focus on improving or making significant change in 2025. Again, it's not a perfect science, but just kind of general guidelines. See where that all aligns or misaligns. So we'll just give you a couple minutes now.
I have a
Robin's
timer
setting
set
a
for about 2
timer,
minutes.
and then you guys can go ahead and we'll follow along as well in our own workbooks.
What's up? What do you mean?
All right. That was about 2 minutes. Hopefully you guys at least took a stab at it. It's interesting. I redid mine, and I had done it kind of the first week of the year, and I noticed a few of them I've kind of decided are a little more important to me than I first thought. So it's worth sleeping on your choices to decide what matters. Okay, so ideally you should have a, like Meg said, a shaded kind of wheel-ish with your X's along it. Now, in a perfect world, your X's would line up or exceed what's important to you, right? If health and fitness is a 4 to you and you're feeling a 5, great. That's not necessarily an area that needs a lot of attention. But if there is a big gap in things, then it might be an area that you want to address in the coming year. So we're going to actually turn to page 5, which is picking your 3 focus areas for the next 6 months. So you can choose the ones where you had the biggest gap, or maybe it could be something where there isn't a huge gap, but you feel like a few changes would bring you to an ideal state, and that would really cause a lot of satisfaction in your life. Sometimes if there's a big gap in something, but you don't feel like it's something you can address this year, maybe you don't. If love is not ranking well for you right now, but you're going through a difficult divorce, maybe that's not your area of focus this year. So pick up to 3, doesn't have to be 3, but up to 3 categories that you're going to focus on. And then in the right-hand column, you're going to write down how you're feeling right now. And then we want you to picture yourself waking up on January 1 next year, feeling in your ideal state about that category. What are you feeling? What does your environment look like? What habits have you changed? Just a free brainstorm about what your ideal state would look like. We're going to give you 4 minutes to do this. You're probably going to want to spend more time on this after the call, but just 4 minutes to start getting a jumping off point. So I will set a timer and we will take some time to do that. All right.
Why?
All right, that was about 4 minutes. Like I said, some of you may have zoomed through that, and some people might want to take a little more time. I should mention you guys are welcome to use the chat if you have any questions as we go, or if you have anything you want to share. Again, I redid this a little bit during the call, and it's interesting to see how you can expand on things throughout time. So definitely take more than just today to do this. All right, so now that you have narrowed down your areas of focus, we're going to do kind of a fun one. And I'll turn it over to Meg in a second, but we're going to pick your word that is your guidepost for the year. And this is something that we like to do every year to kind of pick as your one word that you'll use as your guiding light for the year. So if you could turn to page 6, Meg, I'll have you walk everybody through that.
Yeah, so these are just your, this is just a list of suggestions, right? There might be other words that particularly resonate with you or that come to mind, but this is just a jumping off point. There's quite a lot on here. And you don't have to pick one guidepost word here quite yet. Just go through and kind of knee-jerk reaction, which words on this list really resonate with you as a core value, something that you know, you really connect with and find to be, you know, important in yourself, in others. What do you really stand for? What do you prioritize? So you can just go through, take a couple minutes. This one is, you know, pretty quick. You don't have to overthink it, and just go through and kind of highlight the words that stand out to you for the new year.
All right, I'll give us about a little less than 2 minutes on this one, okay? That was a little bit more than 2 minutes, but I still needed to read. So hopefully you took a minute and highlighted ones that meant something to you. I probably did, I don't know, 20 that spoke to me. And then I also added to one of which was the word slowness, which is funny because I wrote this list, but then other words kind of came up to me. And one of my big things this year is wanting to slow down and just focus on being deliberate with my time and my energy. So if you wrote down extra words, that's good too. This was just a jumping off point. And now we're going to move on to page 7. So if you go to page 7, and you're going to use what you did on page 6 and all those words you highlighted. And we're going to take just a few minutes and choose the word that is Joanne saying slowing down is so spot on for me. Yes, that's might be my word this year. I haven't actually decided my word this year. So you're going to choose the words that's the most meaningful for you and the word that's really resonating. And then in the space kind of around it, in that cloud around it, I want you to write down what that word means to you, right? Like if your word is beauty this year, that might mean, focusing on making your home more beautiful and having, time in the garden. That might mean going to appreciate nature more. Like it could mean a lot of different things. So choose the word that's really resonating with you and then just kind of brain dump what that means to you and in your life. All right. We're going to take a couple minutes on this one. Okay. Hopefully you found a word that resonated with you. If you did not, that's okay. You can take some time tonight to sleep on it. If anyone wants to share their word in the chat, you're certainly welcome to. And I will share mine. Mine is slowness, if that's the best word for it. But I think what's interesting is as I was brainstorming what that word meant to me, what it means to me is probably quite different from what it might mean to someone else. Like, so for me, it's saying no to toxic productivity and really taking my time to do things right instead of fast, and really savoring the moments of joy that I have as opposed to constantly doing. So it's really about slowing down and enjoying the little things in life. I wrote down slower mornings and really just finding a way to start my day with ease. Um, and I also wrote down not raising my hand. So for me, slowness is not feeling the need to like volunteer for every single opportunity that might come my way, but just being selective about my time and energy. So that's what the word meant to me. Whatever word you chose for yourself could be, you know, could be anything. Someone sharing wealth, and in every area of my life, my finances, health, family, unity, and love. Yes. So wealth can mean a lot of things. It doesn't necessarily mean your bank account. Um, I love that. That's really good. So yeah, whatever your word is, joy. I love joy. That's a good one too. I contemplated almost doing leisure as mine because I think I want to embrace more downtime and more like deliberate relaxation in my life. So there's a couple that can speak to you, but it's good to pick one that you'll keep to ground you throughout the year. All right, with your word, if you have it, we're going to now focus on keeping that as kind of your overall mentality, but breaking down your goals into actionable things that you're going to do. So we're going to skip all the way to page 19. We think this whole book is useful, or we wouldn't have put it together. Um, but but obviously we can't go through the whole thing together. So we're going to focus on just the goal setting portion, but we hope that you will take some time tonight or this weekend and go through the other pages as well, because they can all be useful. All right, Meg, do you want to walk through some of our goal set?
Yep. All right. So as Robin said, we're going to focus on 3 6-month goals. So don't try to tackle the whole year right now per se, but just a midway point. And the goals should be SMART. And that was the acronym that we talked about earlier in the PowerPoint. And that's specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and time bound. So specific, it's a defined objective. So in other words, something that's clear, well-defined, that you can focus your efforts on. Number 2, measurable. So you want it to be easily tracked or qualified over time, and just be able to really clearly kind of evaluate your progress towards achieving it, either by specific numbers or metrics. And then number 3 would be actionable. So something that you can easily act upon. Number 4, realistic. So it just can't be something so grandiose or lofty that you just know that it's completely unachievable. Then you're just setting yourself up for failure, and that does not feel good. So something that can be, realistically achieved within the realm or the confines of your current circumstances. So, take into account, what are your resources? What are your abilities? What are your skills? And then set a goal that feels good within those parameters. And then lastly, something time bound. So something, so Robin has the example in the workbook. I'll complete the NJ half by May 2024, or I'll increase business revenue by 20% in the first half. So just something with a specific deadline or timeline for completion. So go ahead and just define 3 of those goals that you would like to achieve over a 6-month period. So between now and July 1. And we'll give you, Robin, you want to set a timer?
Yeah, like
4
minutes.
minutes? Okay.
All right. Hopefully you got a chance to narrow down some goals. I did a few myself. And these are, like I said, certainly something you can sleep on and iterate on. Meg talked about them being specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and time bound. Sometimes it takes a little bit of crafting to get them that way. One of mine is around, I'm studying Italian, and one of mine is around getting proficient in Italian, which is a very difficult thing to concretely measure. But I had on my goals to complete this 2-week language intensive that I want to do by the end of June. So that's a very specific and measurable thing that moves me closer to that goal. Certainly, fitness goals, weight loss is always an easy one to measure, but you also want to focus on the work that you're doing to get there. So, whether that's taking up fitness classes or things like that, we also want to look at the how, not just the finish line. All right, but hopefully you got at least between 1 and 3 goals outlined that you want to achieve in the next 6 months. And the idea is there's actually, Warren Buffett did like a good thing where he talks about when you narrow things down to just 3 or fewer goals, you need to learn that that is your priority. So you need to say no to every other priority that isn't that. Now, that doesn't mean neglecting your like job and your family and things like that. But just as you have optional competing priorities, you need to stay focused on whatever these goals are for now and not take on more. And then once you're successful in them, you certainly can. All right, we are going to then move now to taking one of those goals. And on page 20, you're going to take your, oops, sorry, I got to turn to page 20. You're going to take your first goal. And we want you to spend some time on this worksheet. And the most important parts to outline are your why. Why are you doing this? Because if you don't get clear on your why, you're going to lose motivation real fast. And then start thinking about the habits and support that you need in order to achieve it. So if, again, if it's around fitness, maybe it's that you need to start working out 5 days a week. Resources and support, using us, hiring a trainer, getting a friend who will work out with you. So that's people, programs, materials, or any other support that you need. And then lastly, we like to say plan for catastrophe. So potential roadblocks or challenges. You need to go ahead and think of anything that could prevent you from achieving this goal and how you can pivot. And again, we're not going to accomplish all this on this call, but we're going to take maybe 3 or 4 minutes and do this for your first goal at the very least. All right. Whichever one you think is the most important. All right. That was a little bit of time to do your first goal. We'd like you to do this for all your goals, but you can, and certainly you can do it after the call. But I just wanted to share one thing because I'm in a sharing mood today, I guess. I mentioned my word was slowness. Well, one of the things that I committed to doing this year, and Meg's going to be horrified, but I am running the New York Marathon again. But using the word slowness was meaningful to me as I was filling it out because I was like, I just really want to focus on recovery and enjoying this and enjoying the process rather than focusing on how well I do or, rushing through it. So it was interesting to use my guidepost word as I was filling that out and thinking about how I wanted to tackle that goal. So as you go through it, make sure you're using your word as a guide word and as you're planning the different habits that you have. All right, so we don't have time to go through all 3 of your goals on this call, but for the purposes of after this, you'll do this for each one. And it's good, again, to revisit it another day to get real deep into your why and the resources and support that you need in order to do it. All right, we're going to go into some general tips as you are, hang on, setting these goals up. 1 second. Gotta share my screen. Share. All right. Okay. So one thing we want you to be aware of is as you're doing this and as you're thinking about your daily habits, that showing up is more important than success. So there's a great book, which we recommend and we link in our Amazon store called Atomic Habits by a guy named James Clear, who is literally the master of all things habit. And he talks a lot about how consistency and small habits are much more important than big wins. So we want to make sure that you, like, if your goal is to organize your house on a busy day, you're not unloading your entire closet, right? Maybe you're literally just decluttering. For me, the other day it was decluttering my car console, which is like tiny. And then on a day when you have more bandwidth and you're into it, you can do more. But doing a little bit each day is hugely psychologically important for making progress. The other thing we want you to think about is autopiloting whatever you can, or one of our clients always uses the phrase leverage ease, which I love and I steal all the time. So if you're purging your house, use this example, scheduling a recurring monthly donation pickup. That's a perfect one because it's already on the calendar. You have to make it happen. And then another one that James Clear talks about quite a bit is how if you're trying to adopt a new habit, you need to tether it to an existing one. And we actually have an email we've sent out about this. But, if it is, say, taking your vitamins, putting your vitamins next to your coffee, which you're not going to forget to have in the morning, and saying, after I drink my coffee, I will take my vitamins, that makes it much more likely to happen. So you want to tether it to something that's already in your routine. Also, and our intern Paloma did a great blog on this, or a post on this, I believe, but talking about how goals that are acquisitional rather than avoidant tend to be more successful. So people are more motivated by the idea that they need to do things rather than not do. So wherever possible, you need to focus on things you're doing instead of not doing. So if it is you're trying to have better health habits, instead of saying, I'm never going to eat sugar, it should be, I'm going to exercise every day and eat 5 vegetables a day. Or it should be the positive as opposed to the negative. And then lastly, as we said, anticipate catastrophe. So your goals need to be adaptable. If you're trying to run every day, you want to make sure that you're not saying it has to be outdoors and it has to be an hour and a half, right? Because then if you're stuck home with a sick kid or, a busted pipe and you need to be in the house, you need to have a plan B. So make your goals adaptable and have a backup plan for if catastrophe happens. All right, oops, sorry. Yeah, there you go. Meg?
Okay, here we go. So just to piggyback there, aligning your environment. So if your goal is to eat more veggies and fewer packaged snacks, put the snacks on a shelf that you can't reach. That kind of goes without saying. It seems so intuitive. It's just things that we don't necessarily do. Or get the packaged snacks out of the house altogether, right? Tether your habits to pleasure or reward. So Robin just gave the example that she'll only watch trashy TV when she's on the treadmill. And then treating yourself to something that's in alignment with your goal at the once you've completed, X number of days.
Please
If-
don't, sorry, we have to say, because we always say, don't reward yourself with food. You're not a dog. So
That's
so
why I said, right, aligning it.
I knew
with
that's why you paused.
is your goal, right? So if you, had super clean, compliant days for 5 days in a row, don't treat yourself with pizza and an ice cream sundae. Maybe reward yourself with a facial or a new pair of jeans. So the reward should be in alignment with what you're trying to achieve. If it's a stop bad habit, identify specifically what need it's meeting. So if you're a smoker, maybe you still need the pleasure of a break. So you take a non-smoke break. If you're trying to give up coffee, caffeine, maybe switch to decaf instead. So filling in that void in a way that's aligned with what you're trying to achieve. And then stating your intentions very specifically. So you can't just throw it out in the universe like, I'm going to exercise 30 minutes a day. No, you have to be very, very specific in your intention. So I'm going to exercise 30 minutes a day in this place at this time. It really reduces the chance that you're going to prioritize other things or put other things ahead of it, knowing that there's a specific time in your day and a place that you're going to do this. So for instance, I'm going to meditate 10 minutes a day after I drop my kids off at school in the workout room. That's the example that I gave to myself.
Yeah. So just being as specific and clear as you can be is critical. And just to circle back on that bad habit one or stop habits, like so many things we do on autopilot, we think that the bad habit is what's satisfying us. So like people have a glass of wine at the end of the night to unwind, but really all they need to do is step away from their computer and have a tea and like breathe for a while, and they'll probably feel maybe not immediately as good, but it'll get you 75% of the way there. So look at whatever need that's meeting in your life and come up with an alternative for sure.
And just to like piggyback on that, sometimes it's psychological, right? So you could put a non-alcoholic wine in a wine glass and it's almost psychologically meeting the need. Is it the actual alcohol, the buzz that you need, or do you just need that feeling like, okay, I'm unwinding after a long day? And sometimes surprisingly, it meets a need just as well in a way that's aligned with your vision and your identity.
Absolutely. All right. Well, just to wrap up, we managed to run almost exactly to the hour. We have lots of resources on this. So the goal planner that we gave you, and then also at the beginning of the chat, I linked our habit tracker. I always have used a habit tracker. Mine is kind of crazy because I literally have everything on there, but that can be helpful as you're looking to, like I print mine out and put it in my planner, as you're looking to build daily habits. The books we mentioned, Atomic Habits, there's another great one called The Power of Habit. Those are both linked in our Amazon store. James Clear has a weekly newsletter that comes out every Thursday that always has something actionable in it. So we'll send out the link in the chat as well, but go sign up for that. It's free and it's always useful. There's also something called Mindful Marks, which we have pinned in our Amazon store. They're teeny tiny, like little flash tattoos. If you have a habit that is something you're trying to get rid of that you're on autopilot about, putting a little mark on your dominant hand can be helpful. So if you're over snacking and you're trying to break that habit, putting these tiny little flash tattoos as a reminder can be helpful because then when you go to reach for it, you see it and you remember to stop that habit. So a visual cue to stop you is helpful. And we like those they're just cute little flash tattoos. Actually, sometimes we'll put them on my son's hand to remind him to like slow down and breathe. Paper planners, I just put this on there because I'm obsessed with them. Plum paper planners have customizable paper planners if you're a paper person, which I am. And then lastly, obviously a plug for our new sister business, which we launched, which is called Daily Success Club. So we know the power of being accountable. We've seen it in our business. And so we've decided to expand our business model to include coaching for any goals. So active clients of ours that are working with Sugar Snap Shift can add this on for $95 a month. And essentially you get a private goal planning call for half an hour with me or Meg, where we'll help you hone in on your goals. And then you'll get a daily check-in for 3 habits. And those can literally be anything. They do not need to be fitness and weight loss related. We have people who are doing meditation. We have people who are doing, I need to be better about cleaning my kitchen and making my bed. And so they send us a photo of their made bed, and that's fine. These are all habits that you need to get into, and we help coach through that. If you're not a current client, pricing is $295 a month, but you get a $25 discount on your first month just because you came to this call. So let us know if you did and you want to sign up, and we will give you a promo code. But this was great. I'm so glad we got a chance to kind of kick off the new year with a little bit of goal planning. We are around and available if you have any questions. And this recording will be made available on our YouTube channel as well if you need to revisit anything. So Happy New Year to you all, and have a wonderful 2025.